Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have an awesome review for you from the brand Haveston. Now, if you don't know about Haveston, they're a UK-based brand out of London. They're established back in 2015, and basically what they bring is high-end NATO straps, and basically they are designed with both functionality and ergonomics in mind. And what they've done is they've actually expanded and refined their lines. So I was going to kind of show you guys a little bit of everything and really just kind of break down the new hierarchy of these straps. So before we get into it with the new straps, let's talk about the original straps here. So basically, these are kind of the straps that started it all. And they did a little bit of engineering changing basically to create something very, very special. First, they do have the sliding keeper, which is very nice and has actually become a staple of many brands now. They actually also created a shorter strap so that you wouldn't need to actually have it long to fold over twice. You can actually just fold it once, which is really nice. And then also the way that they set the length actually really helps with getting the buckle to ride on your wrist a lot better. So since then, the kind of the original inception of these particular straps was that they were kind of a little bit of everything. They were rugged yet luxurious, and they kind of did it all. But what they've done now is they've really distilled out and extended their line. So if I can give you guys kind of a brief example here. So now, instead of having just this one strap that does it all, let's say here's the updated version here, the A2, which is beautifully done now, single pass. So they've definitely focused even more on the functionality. Now you have the rugged side being more here, and then you're gonna have which definitely kind of splits it, right? So before you kind of had this one here in the middle that was trying to do both, and now you have it a little bit distilled. You have one that's more on the rugged side with the canvas collection, and then now with the A2 modified model, you do get a bit more refinement here in the service strap, and then they've even extended it even more with these parade straps, which would be an even further refinement and a bit of a step away from the really militant kind of military strap and getting into more of like your parade uniform, right? If you've ever served in the military, you understand there's utility uniforms, and then you also have your dress uniform. So they've even distilled it down one more step and actually extended the line into a little bit more of a dressy strap that's going to suit other types of watches and not just kind of field watches or divers or something that's rough and rugged. That will the strap will actually address and fit really well on other types of watches. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys that there and the evolution and the kind of brand breakdown here before we really get into it, because I think what they're offering is very special. So as you can see, there's the parade line, and then they have the canvas straps, and then there's the their largest line, which is going to be the service series, where basically those ones are definitely more in tune with kind of their core design language that does tie back to military designs. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at these straps. Okay, as you can see, what we have here now is a much more expanded line where they've really focused on not just creating a strap for every occasion, but also creating a bit more of a specialized line. As you can see here with the canvas line, they're definitely more rugged and a little bit more monotone. Definitely something you would see on purely military style watches, field watches, etc. And then you move into the service line, which is definitely still definitely very military inspired in the looks, but a lot more luxurious. Definitely, as you can see, the sheen that the really high-end nylon gives off. And then also here for the parade line, they actually are quite a bit thinner and more refined. So thin to the point where they're actually not single pass. They are the traditional NATO style there with the kind of under loop, which does add a little bit more thickness to your watch. But I mean, again, because of the type of strap it is, it's actually, it's a lot thinner, so it's going to fit more like a traditional NATO strap. But of course with Haveston's goodies as far as their improved setup and layout for the hardware, but also because it's thinner, and, you know, normally would be worn on a thinner watch, you're not going to add too much bulk, which is really nice. For this particular video, I decided to bring my Zins in here. Basically, these watches are extremely versatile, you know, at just about, I believe, 38.5 millimeters. They can really be worn kind of on both sides, and I think it really embodies kind of a similar ethos that Haveston has with their particular straps, being so versatile and kind of riding that line between military inspired, but then also can be quite luxurious and dressy at the same time. And I've figured that duality played really well with my particular Zen watches. Now, let's go ahead and take a closer look. So, as you can see, we've actually reviewed these two models here. You can actually tell which ones are reviewed because they have polished hardware. In another video, kind of when they're first were released with the single pass, and then we have kind of the line extension here. Now, on this side, you can see that as far as the canvas goes, there's kind of that land and sea theme here, and then the nice thing is, again, now you're having that land and sea, but instead of having kind of a jungle theme, you can have more of a desert theme, which is great for me because in the Marine Corps, you know, different sets of camis for different environments. You have your desert camis and you have your woodlands, so it's definitely kind of a nice callback to that. And then also the nice thing is here is you have the brown, and then you also have the blue, and then you have the gray with the blue stitching, so it still has that really kind of naval, you know, kind of feeling to it. Definitely has a maritime vibe, which is really nice. So I think they really set each other off really well, and basically all of the new models here that we're reviewing are going to have the brushed finishes, which I think is a great choice. They used to have pretty much just polished and then a bead blast. Of course, there aren't too many bead blasted watches out there, so I thought that when they chose to go with a more refined brushed finish for the hardware as an option, if you wanted something that was more satin, I thought that was definitely a great move because it is more versatile. As you can see, of course, I do have my satinized Zins over here. So that's kind of the canvas line, and we'll definitely get more into that. But let's also talk about the service line. So these two models were pretty much an update on the originals and have already been reviewed. But then here we have some really great updates from some newer lines, and some are a little bit more updated than others. Of course, definitely, again, with the inkiness and the quality and the thinness of the nylon, definitely there, and also single pass. But then also you have some design updates, which I think really worked out here with this model. Just gorgeous, and it's definitely going to match kind of so many different themes. Obviously, I'm a big fan of gray NATOs, and then something with red accents, and then with the black that ties in. I think that's just gorgeous. And then here we have kind of the brand new to the line in the parade straps, which are going to be more traditional NATOs, but definitely a lot more luxurious than kind of what you're used to, something very refined. I mean, these would definitely be right at home on, you know, a little Bauhaus watch as well. So really nice. But let's go ahead and get a couple of these on wrist and with watch on them. But let's go ahead and do that in real time so you guys can take a look at how these are mounted. So with that said, let's actually push off these straps that have been reviewed before. If you guys do want to see kind of the full review for those, definitely check the links below. I'll make sure to leave there, but let's go ahead and focus on kind of these new watches. Now, for the kind of the land side of it, let's go ahead and get this in there. Oh, of course it's going to be a bit thicker and it's not going to run through as easy. So as you can see, when you're using a kind of that thicker one, you're going to want to have a case that is, as you can see, this is going to be the thickest of all the straps. You're going to want a case that's going to have a little bit more space between the lug and that spring bar for it to fit through. And I really don't want to jam this in there, but basically to give you an idea of how this would look, of course, I can just kind of place it right here, and give you a little bit of a look. Basically what I would do, and you know, if I had a little bit more time, of course, would be to actually remove the spring bars, push this through, and put the spring bars on the other side. So basically that's how I would do that. And then of course, again, the duality there is really perfect, because then you have this combination which looks absolutely gorgeous and really makes these watches look a lot more like you know, it really keys in more to their military themes, and really, I would say, dresses down what you're seeing here. Of course, because of the size, they're definitely going to be a little bit more sporty in their steel and their 200 meters water resistance. And then, of course, also, as you can see, the case back on these protrudes quite a bit, because they're not a super thin watch. It's just a really well engineered, you know, kind of do everything type watch. But the nice thing about the single pass is that it's not going to be adding too much bulk. So as you can see, that looks really great. Now, if we move on to kind of this side of the room, let's go ahead and get this one passed through. Hopefully it'll fit, and it does. So as you can see, just a bit thinner there in the kind of use case. So these are going to be a little bit easier to pass through, and you're not going to have to worry too much about the room that's on there. So let's go ahead and actually wipe that off a bit. And then, as you can see, the beautiful brushed hardware looks absolutely fantastic. Actually, one of the nice things I'd say about the canvas is that it has even more updated hardware. And as you can see there, even upgraded off of the standard models. So really even more rugged, and not just in kind of the color theme and the choices in the nylon, but also the hardware design is also a bit more rugged and definitely feels that way. So that looks absolutely gorgeous. And then let's go ahead and get this going here. I have a really good feeling about this combination, which I believe will be quite classic. And the nice thing is, as you can see, it's not going to add tons of thickness, because single pass there, it's only going to add that much basically on top of your wrist. So as you can see, really nice. Great color play, and you know what, let's go ahead and get it on the wrist so you guys can get an idea of how this is actually going to work. So the nice thing is you just run that through there, and even though I'm reaching around my tripod and this is all on video, it's still really quite easy. And as you can see on this side, all I'm doing is adjusting it to hold that tail down just a bit, and look at that. Oh man, what a combination. The different blues there, I think, are just quite striking, and it really ties into the sunburst blue dial, which is going to have different tones and highlights, highs and lows. And let's go ahead and get this model, the Arabic dial. Ooh, I am not used to kind of putting a watch on this hand, so pardon the clumsiness. So let's go ahead and get this one in now. And as you can see, even doing it on camera on my off wrist, it still went on quite well. So as you can see, these are just going to wear really nice and wrap around the wrist. Really beautiful shimmer to the light. So nice. Then as you can see, definitely more military vibe there. Very eye-catching, but at the same time still gives that great premium vibe to it because of how nice and tight the stitching is. Really, really just gorgeous. So really nice from that standpoint. Let's go ahead and remove these now and move on to these parade straps, which are new to the Haveston line and really kind of embody the highest, I'd say, the heights of refinement. And the nice thing is they also still really come into play with the particular watches I've chosen. So let's go ahead and run this back out here. Okay, pull this one. Alrighty, and then get this blue going through here. Ooh, this is gonna be nice. And then again, super thin. Did you barely heard that sliding through, because there's just so much more room in there. Really nice. Then you just get that going. Ooh, now that is a combination right there. That really just dresses this watch up, and the way the light plays off of this strap, it has its own little kind of sunburst effect there. As you can see, the kind of highs and lows in the lighting, the way that the light reflects off of the strap. It's not just some super bright gaudy strap. It's gonna really play with that light there really nicely. And then let's go ahead and get the black strap on. And the nice thing is you do have that symmetry again there, because now you have the double pass of the more traditional style. Here we go. Ooh. Looks like, you know what, I think the spring bars on this particular model are actually a bit thicker. For the Arabic numerals, I think it's because I have the H-link bracelet on this one, so they actually are probably physically a bit thicker, which is causing a bit of a difference. Let me wipe this off here. In the actual spacing there, but as you can see, really nice. Now that really also dresses it up. But at the same time, you know, it's just still has that black and steel theme. You have that beautiful brushed hardware, sliding keeper for comfort, just gorgeous. So really nicely done. Let's go ahead and get back on wrist here. So the nice thing is there's a bit of a story and a themality to kind of every one of these color combinations and choices that Haveston does. So I think that's really great. I think, as a watch collector and kind of a strap connoisseur, I really do look for that. And I think people, they appreciate the kind of extra story that comes along with the strap and with the brand, because it does give the brand a little bit more identity than just somebody who's trying to create something that's good, right? High quality, premium. Everybody wants to create something that is, of value, but to create something with kind of a theme in mind and really have an intention in design, I think is really unique and something that everybody really enjoys. As you can see, that blue on blue, gorgeous. Then you got the black on black again. Wow, I was really taken with the kind of setup that we had here. Although I do really like this gray with the blue stitching. I think that's gorgeous. I really do enjoy this with the different kind of tones of blues and grays. And then of course we didn't test on this one, but it's a little bit similar. If you were going to choose one of these, you might just choose which one you prefer versus really needing them both in your collection. But I think definitely this is different enough to where you would definitely want this and then either of these. The Land and Sea, I think they do really go well together. And then of course with the other models that were previously reviewed in depth, I just really am enjoying the growth and kind of the line extension and just the the continued proof of concept that Haveston is bringing to the watch industry. And they're really, I'd say, disrupting kind of the industry norms, because everybody else, I'd say, kind of in the strap game is just kind of copying each other. It almost feels like you see one person do a strap and then you see 10 other pop-up brands out of nowhere do the exact same strap with just a different name on it, or a different color palette. So it's just really refreshing to see somebody that's doing something that's different, and it's not different just for the sake of difference. There's a theme behind it. There's a plan. There's a story at play. So really liking these guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.